Hey guys, Joseph Arendsen here. I got two big topics to talk about on this month's episode. One, what is going on with interest rates? And two, what are all these headlines that we're seeing out there about the commission structure going away? Here we go. All right, guys, I want to give you first a quick look at where we are today in our market like I do every single month. First and foremost, if we look at the last 30 days of inventory, sure enough, we've seen a little bit more new listings come on the market compared to sold properties. So we're still outpacing, inventory still outpacing demand, but barely, not enough to really adjust our market. Our market has evened out a little bit. We are no longer in that heavy seller's market. We're in this more balanced market where some inventory is still sitting on the market. We're seeing a few good deals out there, but we haven't seen values come back down. That's where we are today. All right, guys. So one of the big topics that I want to discuss is what's going on with interest rates. You guys have probably seen the headlines. Everybody's talking about it. Interest rates are definitely coming down. Yes, that's a great thing. We've been waiting on that. So what is going on? Well, basically, the Fed is giving out indications that they're going to start lowering interest rates. So we're seeing that get baked into the current interest rate environment. We're seeing a lot of people in the stock market put their money into the bond market, and that always adjusts our interest rates. We are actually down well over 0.5% right now, and rates are all the way down to the lowest point they've been in over 14 months to 6.5%. Now, what do I think is gonna happen? Well, we should see next month in September, the Fed lower their rate, hopefully at least 0.25 point down to the 5% mark. That should continue to help influence our interest rates, our mortgage rates, and bring them down. But I really don't see a big change in interest rates coming until we see the Fed do a second cut later in the year. I am predicting that about at the end of this year, we should see interest rates just below 6%. And then going forward, probably about mid next year, 2025, we should see interest rates in the 5s. So the question is, are these new interest rates going to affect our market? Yes, they will. We're going to see a little bit more buyer activity into the market because homes just became a little more affordable. So that should get people off the fence. If they were on the fence, that should help push them off the fence to actually make a purchase. And then we're definitely going to see the refi market. Everybody that's purchased in the last 14 months, now they have to relook at their mortgage payment and see if it really makes sense for them to refi to lower that payment. Now, do I think it's going to help inventory? And I would have to say the answer is no to that. We're really not going to see interest rates help inventory until we see interest rates get down to probably about 4% or closer to 4%. The reason for that is we have all these homeowners sitting in their properties or owning investment properties that are locked in the 3% range, some in the 2s. And so really we're going to need to see interest rates get closer to a 3% interest rate or a 3.5% or 4% for somebody to truly consider, hey, now my payment makes more sense if I were to sell my property and move the equity over to another home, whether I'm downsizing or upsizing. So really, I don't think this adjustment in interest rates is really going to affect our inventory. All right, guys, now is time to talk about probably the hottest thing that's going on in the real estate market, and that is this new commission rule that just came down as a settlement from a big lawsuit. And I want to explain what is truly going to impact and go into play in the real estate market. So first and foremost, this was a lawsuit that started in the Midwest, and it was around making commissions more transparent and negotiable. I think the intention was pure. Unfortunately, I think the only winners of this was probably the lawyers who got the big settlement. However, I want to explain the reason why I say that. So what did this settlement kind of unfold? First and foremost, us brokers, we can no longer advertise our seller's property on the MLS offering up a commission. So in the past, we had always agreed when we sat down with our seller client and we would find a fair commission that they wanted to offer up on the MLS to any broker out there, and we would advertise it in the MLS. And that broker that brought us a buyer would get paid that commission. So that is no longer allowed. Sellers absolutely can still pay out a broker commission or a broker fee if they bring us a buyer. That is still fully allowed, and I truthfully think that's what's going to still take place going forward. However, we can no longer advertise it. The second big thing that came out of the settlement was the fact that all buyers now need to sign a buyer-broker agreement before they even go view homes. In that agreement, they have to have a compensation laid out for them to pay their broker. So this is a little odd and a little crazy to comprehend, because when I've helped hundreds of buyer clients get ready to purchase a property, typically they're selling a piece of property to get their down payment. They're clearing out a savings account to get their down payment. They're bringing in not just their down payment, which is typically 3% it starts off at, but 5, 10, and 20% or more for the purchase. But they also have to cover their loan origination fees. They have to cover their portion of title and escrow. And then so to ask a buyer to also cover a broker fee is going to be a big ask. And I really don't see it unfolding for majority of home sales out there. I do see it unfolding for maybe the savvy investor buyer who knows that he's getting a good enough deal on the property that he can pay out a broker co-op. But for your average homeowner or buyer out there, I really don't see them being able to come out of pocket for that commission fee. So ultimately, they're going to rely on their realtor to negotiate with the seller to get that fee covered. And that's how it's always been. The buyer has their fees, and then the seller would pick up the commission fees because that would just come from the proceeds of the sale. So it really made sense. Both parties are represented. Both parties are able to have representation to keep them in line with legal aspects, to help them close, to guide them through the process. And it really makes sense to operate that way. So I truly think that's what's going to unfold. Unfortunately, what does that mean for all of us, realtors and just traditional buyers out there? Is a lot more paperwork. A lot more paperwork in explaining how the process is going to work. Now, the realtors out there got to get really good at negotiating, because you are now negotiating for your commission during every single purchase. So it's going to be some fun times, guys. Definitely interesting times. But if you guys have any questions, please reach out to myself. Love to talk about this stuff, or reach out to somebody here on the True Local team. All right, take care.